afternoon. Don't know what time it is in the day when you're watching this. Either way, hope you're having a good day. Let's begin with discussing. This is pretty much like the second section of Unit 2. So we've already discussed the real number properties and real numbers. Now we're going to get into the order of operations of things. So just take a quick look with me to the side here. And let me fix this for you. All right, so we're going to take a quick look at this. So order of operations. Now, order of operations simplified is just meaning the process of which we go about simplifying expressions and breaking down the expression that we're given. So, in other words, we're going to go through these steps here. Now, you may have seen this as GEMDAS or PIMDAS. Okay, basically each of these, the beginning letter of each of these just goes with whatever is written. Whatever is written here. Okay, and that's the easiest way to remember is GEMDAS or PIMDAS. Now, just quickly, what that means is the G or the P is just the graphing symbols or parentheses, and what that means is. So if we look at number 1, we're going to do this information first. Now, we can break down and simplify some of the other informations or some of the other expressions in the other information first, but we're going to mainly deal with the parentheses first and target that. And the reason you do that is because that's the order to best get the most accurate answer. So we start off with G, the grouping symbols. Then we're going to go to exponents next. Then we're going to go multiply and divide. And what this left to right simply means is those can be done together. You just have to make sure you go from left to right. So if multiplication comes first when you're reading left to right, you're going to multiply first. If division comes first, you're going to divide first. And the same thing for add and subtract, which that's going to be the last thing you do. You're going to do those from left to right as well. Okay, so I'm going to do a few examples. Like last time, I'm going to leave a few for you to do. This video may be a tad bit longer because this is some more stuff. But what I want you to do is write everything down, pause the video if you need to. We're just going to work through these and make sure we have a good understanding for them. Okay, so it says simplify each expression. We are going to use our GEMDAS, PIMDAS. We're going to start out and look at this, read from left to right. Okay, just figure out what we have. We have 29 minus, then we have parentheses, 11 minus 2 to the third power. Got the closed parentheses plus 6 squared divided by 4. Now, a lot of this can be put in your calculator, but here's the problem with that is sometimes things get lost in the calculator and the calculator reads it differently. So this is a good skill to know. This is a very important skill. So we're going to start off. We're just going to bring down our 29 because it doesn't have a parentheses. So we're just going to begin with that. We're going to just bring down everything we don't want to mess with yet. So right now, we're going to mess with this right now. So we've got 11 minus 2 to the third. Now, before we can subtract, inside this parentheses, we have another order of operation. Because before we subtract, we want to do this exponent here first. So 2 to the third power is just 8. So we're going to bring that down. 11 minus 8 plus. We can go ahead and simplify this because that's an exponent that's not really, we're not adding or dividing anything yet. So we can go ahead and do that. Sometimes you can do multiple things in one. So plus 36. And then we're going to divide by 4. Okay. Now, this may be a little tough to read, but you can be writing this out as well. Now, we're going to still do this parentheses, and we're also going to go ahead and divide this because before we do anything, we can divide that for starters, because nothing else is really happening division-wise or multiplication-wise to really keep us from doing that. So 29 minus, that's going to be, inside of this is going to be 11 minus 8 is 3, plus 36 divided by 4 is going to be 9. So then we just subtract, then we just do this from left to right. So we can actually pretty much do all of this. So that's going to end up being 35. You can just put that in your calculator. That's not going to mess you up at all. So that's the basic process of it. Now, I'm going to skip. No, we'll do number 2. So number 2 here, we can go ahead and do this. It's an exponent. We have our absolute value, but that can be done on its own as well. So we got 4 to the third. So we're just going to 64. We're just going to bring that out, minus the absolute value of 8, which is just 8. Then we got times 6 divided by 16. Okay. So now we're not going to mess with this 64. We're going to bring it down because it's subtracted. We're going to do 8 times 6 because if you look right here, multiplication and division, we're doing that left to right. So we're going to go ahead and multiply those. Then we're going to, before we subtract here, we're going to go ahead and divide on this right side. So 48 divided by 16 is going to be 3. Bring everything else down. And that's going to be equal to 61. Because 64 minus 3 is 61. Now, I'm going to just do one of these. I'm going to just do one of these here because these are fairly simple. They're just broken up with the division sign, but you really don't want to worry about that until the end. So when they're a fraction like this and they're on top of each other like that, just do the top, do the bottom as you would do it any other time, and then simplify it at the end. It's really all you have to do. Okay, so first we're just going to bring down the 7 because nothing's happening with the 7. We've got a minus. We're going to keep that. Now we're going to go ahead and do a portion of the parentheses. So right here we have 10 minus 12. So we're going to keep our absolute value sign. It's going to be the absolute value of negative 2 plus 5. Actually, we can go ahead and do that. So since nothing else is happening here, we're just going to go ahead and keep. We're going to go ahead and do the 5 squared, which is just 25. Now we have that set. It's our top. Now our bottom is just going to be 9 minus 2. We're going to go ahead and do the exponent. So 2 to the square root of 2, or not to the square root of 2, 2 squared is 4. Okay. Now we're just going to simplify the top and keep simplifying the bottom. So draw a little line here. We're still going to keep our 7 because we're not ready to deal with that just yet. Minus. Now we're going to do all of this inside here. So we got the absolute value of 2 is just 2. Plus 25 is going to be 27. Then we're just going to bring this down here. So 9 minus 4 is 5. That's going to give us a negative 20 over 5, which is then going to equal negative 4. And all I did at the end, once you get it to this stage, it's really just simplifying. You could even plug it in your calculator. Just want to see you do all those steps in order because that's how you get to the correct answer. All right. The rest I'm going to leave for you all, or we'll work in class. We'll go over it. We're going to move on. Now, this next part, really easy. They try to throw you off with, so we're just evaluating some expressions. And all that means is we're going to take these variables, we're just going to plug it in to here, and then we're just going to work it out. That's all it is. So when it says a equals 3, that means wherever you see an a, you're putting a 3. So we got 3 times b is going to equal negative 4. So wherever you see a b, you're going to put a negative 4. And that's going to be squared. Don't forget that. Then wherever we see a c, c equals 8. That means we see a c right here. That's going to equal 8. So 8 plus 12. Now, we're going to go ahead and do this portion first on the top because that's the exponent. So before you multiply, you can't say 3 times 4. You can't say 3 times 4 and then square that after you do that. You can't do that. You have to do this exponent first. So that's going to be 3 times 16 over, you can go ahead and do this bottom piece because the top is not affecting the bottom right now for what we're doing. We're just adding 8 and 12. So that's going to be 20. Then you're going to, now you can multiply. After you've done negative 4 squared and done the exponent, now you can do this portion and multiply. So now you're going to do 3 times 16, which I believe that is 48, divided by 20. And that is going to give us 12 over 5 when you simplify it in your calculator. And that's all you have to do for that. Same thing applies for this. I'm not going to work it. We can go over it. But same thing for that one. You're just going to plug those in. Blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to spend too much time on these because in the homework you'll end up doing all these, so I'm not going to make you do all these. These will just be kind of examples we work in class maybe if we need extra help. Okay, last thing. So this is the last piece about order of operations and evaluating and simplifying expressions. So this is the simplifying expressions portion of it. Now, the directions say simply or supply each. What's this say? Oh, okay. It says, should say simplify. It just says simply. Okay. Anyway, I got tripped out there for a second. I was thinking, I know I'm reading this right. But anyway, okay. So simply, I did it again. So simplify. I was supposed to say simplify. So simplify. All right, simplify each expression below by distributing and or combining like terms. So here's what I want you to do for combining like terms. This is the easiest way to do it. So if you'll notice 15, first thing you're going to do is always distribute. But we don't have to distribute here. There's nothing to distribute. So the easiest way to identify your like terms is to underline it or circle it, or do whatever. I like underlining. So this is just an example. So with 16x, if it has an x in it, I'm going to underline it. So I look at negative 11, there's no x in it, so I'm not going to underline it. And then if I look at negative 7x, it has an x, so I'm going to underline it. Then, now I know that I'm combining 16x and negative 7x. I'm going to bring those two down. That's going to give me, what, 9x? Yeah, 9x. And then I know I'm done with those. Now I can bring down the negative 11 and the 10. So negative 11 plus 10 is going to be negative 1. So our answer is 9x minus 1. Because 9x is not a like term with 1, so we cannot simplify this any further. Now I'm going to show you one more. And that is going to be, yeah, this one's a good one. Okay, so the first thing we need to do here before we do anything else is simplify this, which the way we simplify this is to distribute it. So we're going to bring down 13. And now when we distribute, if you remember from our properties of real numbers, we simply take 2, multiply it by the first term, multiply it by the second term. So 2 times 3n is going to be 6n. Don't forget your variable. And when you're multiplying a number with a variable, you just simply bring down the variable with it. So 2 times 3 is 6. You just attach on n to the end of it. Now we have 2 times a negative 7. And I'll clear some of this up. Okay. Now we have, so we're going there and there. Now we're going to do this portion. 2 times a negative 7 is going to be a negative 14. Don't forget that this is a negative sign, so we have to account for that. Therefore, a positive times a negative is a negative. And then we just simply add down 19n. Now we have this where we can figure out our like terms, and combine our like terms. So I like working with the variables first. So I know I have a 6n. So I have a term within a variable, which is n. Now I'm looking for another one. So 13 doesn't have one. 14 doesn't have an n, but 19 has an n. So I'm going to combine those two. So 19 plus 6 is going to be 25n. And then I'm done with those. Now I have this left, this left. Those are like terms. 13 and negative 14, those can be added together. So that's going to be a minus 1. And that would be our answer. And the same thing applies for the rest of these. So don't get confused like on 18. It has a y and a z. All you got to do is make sure the z's go together and the y's go together. It's just that simple. That's all like terms are. If numbers don't have a variable, they can add together. If two numbers have a variable, they have to be the same variable to add together. Those make like terms. Other than that, this will be the homework, which I will send to you. And that will be it for this video. Have a good day.